Howdy, folks. Welcome back or welcome aboard. You are listening to the Doc Owen Show. We are glad you decided to join us. This is Dr. Richard Owen, joined by Miss...
I'm Mr. Fire.
And...
Uncle Bachi.
Uncle Bachi. Full crew tonight. We are reminded we are all over social media as Doc Owen Show, DocOwenShow. In addition, we are cranking up our blog at docowenshow.com, and part of that blog is going to be a store, if you will, where you can find merchandise that we think you will like going across all age groups, because we are taking the show into basically a commercial-free environment other than to reference you to our blog from time to time and tell you to go to the store. So we won't be interrupted with on-the-air commercials, let's put it that way. And the best way to follow us is via our free, no charge, absolutely nada, nothing, zilch apps for both iPhone and Android devices. You can go out to the Play Store or iTunes, just search for Doc Owen Show, download it, and then if you follow us on Twitter, which is at Doc Owen Show, you'll get a tweet that says we've gone live with one of our two shows every week, and you can listen to it on your iPhone or your Android device, no matter where you are. It's a pretty good deal. It's the best way that I know of to reach out. So that's the way it is. We begin every show in a very traditional manner. Tonight will be no exception. We start off with a voice of inspiration from Ms. Surefire, followed by this moment in history from our show historian, Uncle Bachi, and then I close the group up with a leadership quote or two. So let's begin. Ms. Surefire, take it away.
And tonight's quote, as usual, comes from inspirationaldaily.com. And it's from a gentleman that really needs no introduction, Henry Ford.
Ooh.
Yeah, he was an American industrialist, and I kind of got a liking to this quote, and him being that's kind of like my study period right now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep, with the new PhD program.
There you go.
So, his quote tonight is, obstacles are those frightful things you see when you take your eyes off your goal.
There you go.
Yeah, really. Focus, focus, focus.
Right.
Yep. Okay, I thought you were going to say you can have any color you want as long as it's black.
That's right.
There
He
you
said
go.
that too.
That's what we call focus. Good job. Yep. Uncle Bachi, what happened in previous times?
Okay, on this day in 1777, the Articles of Confederation were submitted to the states for ratification. And we'll be talking about those at
Linked.
a future time.
Okay. The Articles of Confederation were submitted to the states for ratification.
That is correct.
So you're trying to tell me and our audience that at one point in time we had a central government that asked the members of the states for permission to do certain things?
Well, there was a Congress.
Okay.
And that's all that there was. It's just a Congress.
Yeah, 6 guys
And,
at the bar.
Yeah, so, they had a lot of debates about it and bickering and all that kind of stuff, but they finally signed the Articles of Confederation and then submitted them to the states.
Cool. Oh, and submitted them to the states for ratification.
For ratification. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Our leadership quote tonight is from our old friends at Crowned Grace International. They're not that old, but we've been friends with them for a long time. Okay. This is from Philip Crosby, Philip Crosby. He said, and it kind of goes with Amos, slowness to change usually means fear of the new.
Yeah.
Okay?
I get that.
Think about that as we get into our post-election discussion tonight.
That's true.
And that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to, if you notice the title to the show in your stream or whatever it is that you're listening to us on, and if you didn't, I'll give it to you. It's, what's the first word?
Duplicitous.
Duplicitous. Mm-hmm. I hope I spelled it correctly. Duplicitous, DumbAss, Dems, double down.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Wow.
That's going to kind of kick off the show, and then we'll go from there and talk about election results and fallout from it and what's going on, et cetera, et cetera.
I think you just opened some ears.
Good. That was the intent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But before we dive in, we will continue to take our, 7 to 8, 9 minutes or so to look back in history. And the reason we do this, Uncle Bocce's brief, every week, it is because it is important to understand when you hear some of the rhetoric that goes on in the mainstream media as well as the alternate media. It's important to understand so you have the facts and can make up your own mind about whether we're moving forward or backwards for a reason.
Exactly.
Bocce, take it away.
Yes, tonight we're going to look a little bit at the impact of Enlightenment. Primarily started in Europe, but then came over to the Americas. It was, some people called it the Age of Reason. Thomas Paine wrote about it. And it was...
P-A-I-N-E.
P-A-I-N-E, yes.
Right.
Thomas Paine.
I wanted, so our audience could look at
Common sense.
Yep, you got
Yes,
it.
sir. So it was spreading rapidly across Europe. In the late 17th century, scientists like Isaac Newton, you remember him,
Yeah.
and writers like John Locke were challenging the old order.
Yeah.
Imagine that. They're challenging the old order.
Heresy.
Sounds like something we want to do today.
Really.
But
And they
I
lived to tell
continue.
about it too, didn't they?
Yeah.
Even with apples dropping on their heads.
There you go. And so Newton's laws of gravity and motion described the world in terms of natural laws beyond any spiritual force. See where I'm going? Mm-hmm. In the wake of political turmoil in England, Locke asserted the right of the people to change a government that did not protect natural rights of life, liberty, and property. And we'll be getting into this discussion about natural rights because it is foundational to your understanding of who we are as Americans.
It also should lead you to listen to our Tuesday night show
Yes.
called Saint Cities.
Absolutely.
Saint being for sanctuary assembled in nature's tradition.
Exactly.
Exactly what you're talking about.
Maybe this message should be given on Tuesday night, huh?
We can do that.
Okay.
I have a friend that can get you on the show.
Okay. Now, people were beginning to even doubt the existence of a God, eternal damnation, and empowerment of tyrant for king. Europe would forever change by these ideas. And so was America.
Yep.
Intellectuals in America, they were reading these ideas. And they were consuming these ideas. On the other side of the Atlantic, enlightened ideas of liberty and progress had a chance to flourish without the shackles of old Europe.
That's amazing. What time frame are we in?
We're in the 1700s.
Wow.
Yes.
All right.
That's when the Enlightenment really hit.
Okay.
Religious leaders began to change their old dogmatic positions. They began to emphasize similarities between the Anglican Church and the Puritan Congregationalists rather than the differences. Okay? So, even a gentleman by Cotton Mather, you may have learned, he was a preacher. He was a Massachusetts minister. And he wrote and spoke so convincingly about the existence of witches, advocated science to immunize citizens against smallpox. So he was the guy who really went after the witches and also wanted to get people immunized.
Okay.
So if you want to blame immunization, you can blame it on him. Harvard ministers became so liberal, and listen to this for a twist, that Yale College was founded in New Haven in 1707 in an attempt to retain old Calvinist ideas. Imagine that.
I think we have some
Harvard
congressmen
and
were in
Yale?
that class.
I think, yeah, there are,
Right.
especially in the Senate. Okay, well, the attempt failed, and the entire faculty, except one, converted to the Church of England. Harvard ministries became so liberal. By the end of the century, there were many New England ministers, and they would become what we call Unitarians,
Yeah.
doubting even the divinity of Christ. So you can see where things were going. New ideas shaped political attitudes. John Locke defended the displacement of a monarch who at that time was thought to be given his responsibilities by divine right. And they would not protect the lives and liberties and the property of the English people. And so he was definitely against monarchical government.
That's L-O-C-K-E, by the way.
Yes, it
for
is.
those of you who wanna look it up.
We will definitely be delving into John Locke's philosophies later on. There was also a gentleman by the name of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and he. Excuse me a second here. I lost my place.
He's having trouble turning the page.
Yeah. Okay. Society
For those
would
of
be
you that
ruled by
thought he
the
had all this memorized.
ruled by the general rule of the people. You would think so, but I have to rely on my notes. Baron de Montesquieu is another big name that we'll be talking about. He declared that power should not be concentrated in the hands of any one individual.
Uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
He recommended separating power
What have we done?
among executive, legislative, and judicial branches of government. So you see where all these ideas were coming from.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
American intellectuals.
It also sounds like it's coming from people who had been there, done that the wrong way,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
learned their lesson.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
That-
Yes. American intellectuals grabbed onto this and they began to absorb these ideas.
Yeah, sure.
The delegates who declared independence from Britain used many of these arguments, and the Declaration of Independence, in fact, Thomas Jefferson applied Locke's ideas to the Declaration of Independence.
Did he give him credit?
I believe he did.
You see, like
I don't know.
the reference page,
Did Locke-
citation.
Did Locke own slaves?
Did Locke? No, Locke.
Well,
No,
then-
he was a Brit.
Then we should divert from Thomas Jefferson to John Locke. And,
Well,
and everything that
yes.
Jefferson wrote would be okay.
Well, you know, Jefferson was probably the only formally educated founder that we have. Everybody else was educated on their own. But he went to college.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to college, and he also became a lawyer. So he was the intellectual in the group.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Well,
Yeah. Constitutions of our first states and the United States Constitution reflect very heavily Enlightenment principles.
yes.
Benjamin Franklin, he was all for it. The old way of life represented by superstition and angry God and absolute submission to authority, that was out the window. The thinkers of the Age of Reason ushered in a new way of thinking. This led to what we call the Declaration of Independence. Other things that they believed: the kings did not rule by divine right. They had an obligation to their subjects. And Europeans pondered the implications for nearly a century. And Americans, guess what? We put them into practice first.
Boom.
Even though they came out of Europe, we did it.
Well, okay, I get that. And think about this: that there is always, it's easier to start a business or start something from scratch than it is to reorganize and remake something that's already in place.
Exactly.
Which is it made it that much easier for us to say, yeah, you guys are right.
Exactly.
Let us show you how it's done.
And even within
Right.
within the colonies themselves, that same exact thing happened with the Articles of Confederation.
Right.
It was easier to throw them out the window and create the Constitution.
Right.
But that's for another day.
Okay.
Moving on.
Okay. I'm gonna start you off with what tweaked me last week. If you'll recall, I read a letter from, or portions of an email that I got from the head of the Texas Democratic Party, to which I responded on Facebook. And then that got Uncle Bocce going, and he put it out on the blog, I think. Right?
Yes, sir.
And so, we had it out there. Well, that was actually a response to the guy. I mean, I say it comes from his email address.
Right.
So apparently he didn't read it because he sent me another one this week.
Obviously.
Thus, the name Duplicitous, DumbAss, Dems, double down. Hi, Richard. Like he knows me. They're still shocked. We're still shocked by Tuesday's results, but we couldn't be more excited to have you fighting with us as we prepare for the long battle ahead. We must band together, this is in bold, to protect our families, stand in unison against Republican bigotry, and defend the core values of our democracy.
Stop.
Yes.
So wrong. This is
What
wrong.
core values is this man talking about?
Okay. Even better than
Just started to throw the kill.
no,
Go ahead.
even better. This is just the second sentence.
Yeah, I know.
It's-
I couldn't get past it.
I already found two wrong things myself.
Good.
Well, what'd you find? What are you going to point out?
Say it again. Sorry, sir.
Bigotry.
It's hard to say. We must band together to protect our families, stand in unison against Republican bigotry, and defend the core values of our democracy.
Okay, one is we're a republic, not a democracy.
Amen, girl.
Bingo.
And
Right.
then the second one is that the bigotry actually comes from the Democratic Party.
Of course, people,
Yes, it
you
does.
always you don't recognize. You think you recognize faults in others that you possess, because if you don't possess it, you're not aware of it.
There,
Yeah.
there you go.
It's
It's
true.
kind of strange logic, but it works. Well, so there's no need for me to be on the show because these guys have got it all. But I'll just keep throwing the softballs.
You're the
out
boss.
there. Yeah,
You're the
right.
Good.
Older, and by the way, those two sentences are followed by, will you pitch in $10 a month so we have the resources needed to fight back against President Trump and protect our families? So I did cancel my Netflix contract and moved it straight over to the Dems because I think they're going to be far more entertaining than Netflix.
Maybe I will too.
Older Americans are afraid that Trump Republicans will destroy Social Security, listen to these, Medicare,
ridiculous.
and their dignity in retirement. Latinos, Asian Americans, and Muslim Americans are worried their families will be torn apart.
Where do they get these ideas?
And they don't get no. See, they don't get these ideas. What they're doing is they're planting these ideas. They're telling the Democrats who
Okay.
and I have long said that we deliver truth to youth. We don't try to make it Republican or Democrat.
Exactly.
But the more I see after this election, I want particularly my young audience who is not necessarily fully entrenched and dedicated to a political party to know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is the first time I've ever really dedicated myself, and I will continue to dedicate myself to destroying the current Democratic Party. That by that, just like you think the Republicans have been hijacked and gone completely to the ultra-conservative right, Democrats have been hijacked and gone to the ultra-liberal, communist, socialist left. So let's admit that there are still perhaps some good Democrats in there who don't agree with their way left leadership.
That's true.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, let's just say that.
Yeah, we can say that, but seriously?
No, seriously, I think it's true.
I think I know one.
I think young Democrats don't necessarily buy into all of this garbage. All right?
Okay.
I'm hoping that's true. But I'm putting it out there so you'll know what's being sown underneath and the undercurrent of being a Democrat.
Right.
Follow me? Americans are nervous their health insurance will be ripped away from them and they won't be able to afford a visit to their family doctor. Women are horrified that a man who bragged about sexually assaulting them has the power to take away their access to life-saving health services.
That's funny because
So-
I thought there was one elected for 2 terms in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was for real.
Who was a Democrat.
Exactly.
Okay.
BC.
Families, blah, 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 and our neighborhood schools are neglected. That one I find totally hilarious because the Democrats have been in charge of our neighborhood schools for generations.
Exactly.
And we're graduating a bunch of mushheads.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
I don't even call them public schools anymore. I call them government schools controlled by the progressives.
So to show you how far and how bad this is going, the Democrats are trying to elect a new Democratic National Committee chairman. After the meltdown at the convention, Debbie Wasserman Schultz stepped down. A lady that I happen to be friends with, Donna Brazil, stepped in as the interim chair. She took heat the entire time for the way that they were running their party.
That's right.
Rightfully so. I'm not defending her at all. She got caught up in the game.
She did.
So what's the name of tonight's show? Duplicitous. I'll say the first word for you. Duplicitous, dumbass,
Democrats. Or
Double
Dems.
down.
double down.
Double down. Yeah.
The leading candidate for the chairman of the Democratic National Committee. Drum roll, please.
I have no idea.
Representative Keith Ellison. Do you know who Mr. Ellison is?
I do not.
Nope.
If he's any relation to, well,
Glad
go ahead.
I'll be glad to tell you. He is the first Muslim American ever elected to Congress. Ellison has long been an advocate of his party's left faction and is currently a co-chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus.
That says enough.
I had enough time to do a tad bit more research.
Oh, good.
Mr. Ellison is a Louis Farrakhan-linked congressman who once called for Dick Cheney's impeachment and compared George W. Bush to Hitler.
That's Farrakhan did that. Yeah, you're talking about Farrakhan, or this guy did that?
This guy did that.
Oh, my goodness.
And in his competition for the job are 2 high-ranking, well-known lobbyists. One of them by the name of Howard Dean, who used to be the chair.
Oh, gosh. Howard Dean.
I knew that'd bring something out.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Onward to
familiar.
the White House!
So, now do you understand the title for the show?
I understand completely.
That's the way they play. They being Democrats. Democrats double down. You tell them they're wrong, you tell them they're lying, and they come back with more, stronger, deeper, louder of the same stuff. That's
Exactly.
how you play. That's their game plan. So please, as you listen to these words, millennials, do your homework. Do your homework. Don't just do it because your mama or your daddy or your grandma or your grandpa or your next door neighbor or your dog votes Democrat. Think about what you're doing. Make a difference. And if you don't like either party, that's just fine. That's how Trump got elected.
Yes.
There's a lot of us who don't like either party.
I wonder who he's talking about.
Little frosting on the cake here. Democrats declare war on seniors. With only 4 months left in office, President Barack Obama and his Democratic cronies are doing everything they can to transform the United States into a third world country. The latest involves giving illegal immigrants free health care while giving nothing to assist the millions of struggling American senior citizens whose hard work and sacrifices built this country. And
Very good.
firsthand knowledge, I got the opportunity to go to Social Security today and argue for my rights to not have my Medicare payment triple for the coming year. So my stuff's being tripled so they can take in enough money to cover the illegals in California.
Wow. Scary.
So, here's an article from, are you following me so far?
I'm following you.
Okay, Duplicitous, DumbAss, Dems.
Double down.
We're going to move across the aisle. We're going to go Republican. This is from the Texas Public Policy Foundation.
Good organization.
Actually, a very good organization, and they are nonpartisan. But they are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Right.
If that happens to be a particular party, you figure out who it is. All
Yeah.
right?
And then let me know.
The opening, restoring liberty through the states and the people, is their slogan. Okay. Opening sentence. Compare that to the opening sentence that we just heard about the Republican bigotry and destroying America from the Democrats. Compare this opening statement. Liberty has afforded all Americans the opportunity to live prosperous lives through hard work and civic cooperation.
Amen.
Now, does that sound divisive to you?
No, that sounds very positive.
Does that sound like it's coming from a Republican or a Democrat?
Neither.
Well, who cares?
Yeah, right, exactly. Who cares?
And neither is correct.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's the whole. That's the point.
Yes.
That's the point. So, it also the opportunity to live prosperous lives, not to guarantee the opportunity to live prosperous lives.
Exactly.
Very well said. Life. Oh, it says life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. A little further into the paragraph. The American people have made it clear that they are fed up with this federal assault on liberty, and restoring liberty this is a roadmap for America rooted in the U.S. Constitution that recenters federal governance on only constitutionally enumerated powers, which very intentionally minimize liberty and prosperity, leaving all our governing authorities the states or the people. All right. So if you've got centralized power, it reduces the liberty. And there's three major platforms in here: to restore the prosperity of all Americans, to create an American economic revival through the states, and to ensure abundant energy supplies and a healthy environment. Amen. Those are the three areas, and then there's a bunch of bullets about it. It will be on the Doc Owen Show Facebook page and the blog.
Good.
So you can read basically the platform that the Texas Public Policy Institute is putting forth. All right? And for those of you not in Texas, you are welcome to copy. If you dare. So let's talk about, where are we? Let's talk about GOP leadership a little bit. We talked about DNC. And all of this is just background so we can have a discussion. Okay? Oh, I forgot one thing. Now I'm looking at it. Okay, we got to back up a minute. Play like we have, and we haven't really. We haven't talked about the Republicans yet. So before we do that, we did this last week. We found this on YouTube, and I want to play a clip from somebody that is obviously a Trump supporter offering his condolences to the Democrats. Okay, go ahead.
Give my remarks to all of the Trump haters, all of the Hillary Clinton supporters, all of the people that said that my Trump was gonna lose. So I say to you this morning, the day after the election, I can't breathe.
You okay, Bocce?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good laugh. And I laugh every time at it. You know, laughing is very healthy for you.
That clip is exactly why I always like to drink my morning juice out of a Foghorn Leghorn glass. I've got an old jelly glass that I got when I was a child, I think, that has Foghorn Leghorn in it. So when I drink my orange juice, I can go, "It's a joke, son." I say, "It's a joke, son. How come you ain't laughing?" That starts my whole day with the right attitude. That guy's funny. I forgot his name, but we had him on last week, so I gave his name last week. GOP leader. The headline to this article is GOP leadership intact. Victory heals all wounds.
Oh, gee.
I know. Lawmakers returned Monday, this past Monday, to find that the political earthquake from the presidential election had barely registered on Capitol Hill, where the leadership of both parties remained solidly intact.
Yep. Well, the Democrats are still going for their leader in the House.
Well,
they postponed it.
I understand
but
that.
I understand what you're saying.
But as a rule, as a whole, they don't expect a lot of upheaval in the leadership of either party in either House of Congress.
That's right.
Methinks they didn't get the message.
They didn't. They didn't get the message. They don't understand.
Well, it's going to make it, even though, and I expected this, even though both houses of Congress are controlled by people called Republicans, I'm thinking that Mr. Trump is still, and his administration, are still going to be substantially challenged to do what he told us he wanted to do.
He definitely will be. With McConnell in charge?
Right. I mean, I can't imagine these guys, McConnell and or Ryan, doing a 180-degree about face from what they've been doing for the last 8 years, which was to completely fund an Obama administration, an Obama assault. Mm-hmm. Even at times when they had the votes to do something about it. So, I mean, I'm sure that there are some good Republican senators and good Republican House of Representative members. But as a rule, the Democrats up there are so much smarter and so much craftier and so much more dedicated to their cause that they just kick their ass every time.
That's right.
How can that be? How can that be, Bocce? You're a smart man.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how it can be.
All right.
It's because our Republican leaders have absolutely no concept of the Constitution. They have no concept of basic principles. They like one thing and one thing only, two things. They like power and they like control, and they think that they're God.
That's three.
Yeah, so I'm going to throw that in for free.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
God is free.
I mean, even like with Mitch McConnell coming out.
He's like a car salesman, like he's giving me a deal. God is free.
No, but I'm throwing that for free.
Okay.
What can I say?
Go ahead.
I think in twos, but I talk in threes.
Hey, you too could vote Democrat.
I could. I really. Oh boy, no, I can't. I have a hard time voting Republican, let alone. But even when
the point is that for all the teeth gnashing and hysteria that's going on about Mr. Trump, I don't see a lot of things that have changed.
Yeah. Nothing has changed.
Now, if Mr. Trump can pull it off, I mean, it starts right up. Do you know that the first year he's in office, he is not going to be in the Oval Office in the White House?
I heard that today.
Because the Democrats didn't want to have it upgraded to the current security standards.
Right.
So now it's got to be vacant for a year when they could have been working on it all along. Mm-hmm. It's got to be vacant for a year to upgrade the security. And so Mr. Trump has an office over across the street in an office building where Richard Nixon, the Eisenhower office building, but it's the same office that was occupied by Richard Nixon. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, the other thing is Trump is saying he may not live in the White House. He's already said he's not taking any money. Mm-hmm. Well, we all know that. He's going to take $1. Mm-hmm. And other than that, no. And he has stated that he may not move into the White House, that he kind of likes his digs.
Sure.
And of course, it presents a security. And I think what he's really doing, if I could be so bold as to think that way, I'll give you an example. And it's a tiny little example, but the logic, follow the logic of what I'm going to tell you. I was a top-notch, go get 'em, roust 'em, top-end producer of sales when I was in sales in the computer business. All right, and they made me a sales manager. They wanted me to take over, and help others, help train others. I said, that's great. And they said, here's your office. I said, I'm not moving in there. I sat out in the bullpen with all the other salesmen, and I'm going to stay out there. Oh, you can't do that. Why not? Well, because you're a sales manager. You got to sit in this office. It's the sales manager's office. And I said, well, then I don't want the job. Oh, we need you to take the job. Well, I told you I'll take the job, but I ain't sitting in there. And I went round and round with this, major corporation that, no, I'm not going to do that. And finally we created a compromise. I had them put a round table in that room. So if I needed to have a private conversation with somebody, I could go in there and have a private conversation.
Good for you.
But I did my day-to-day business right out there amongst the people who promoted me and, helped me blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. So I really understand where the Donald is coming from. Mm-hmm. He doesn't want to be isolated. He doesn't want to go into that environment where he would basically lose control and may well lose, what got him there in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm. It makes absolute sense.
Okay. Well, I can't rely on the audience to respond because I can't hear them.
Yeah,
so
I know. So we got to respond.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well.
So you get my point. I mean,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Victory heals all wounds, said Representative Tom Cole, an Oklahoma Republican. I don't think so.
I disagree with that as well.
I mean, I'm not buying it. I think it's a problem waiting to happen. I think as soon as Mr. Trump takes office and starts trying to do some things that go a tad bit against one of the other Republicans, you have a good example. You talked about it earlier.
Yeah, but the thing is that it's already happening. He's got more pushback from Republican leadership than he has had from the Democrats so far, that I can remember.
Well, the Democrats are busy trying to elect this Muslim to head them up.
Well, yeah, I guess that's true. But like I was saying, Mitch McConnell. Yeah. Who the hell is Mitch McConnell to stand up after this election and tell us that the Senate will not consider term limits? It's dead. But that's one of the messages of the election. He is the epitome of why we need term limits. He's been there 40 years.
I disagree with you.
So he's getting pushback. Okay.
I agree with you, but he's the epitome of why his constituency needs to be educated.
That's true. The only thing they see is Bridges named McConnell. senator's named McConnell.
Well, which is exactly the first thing they did.
That's
so talk about bringing back earmarks,
Yeah.
so he could buy his way and stay in office.
Right.
That's the old school way of doing business.
So there's term limits, and what you just said.
But that's why I am talking to young Dems and
Yes.
Rs and Is, independents,
That's
to
right.
say business as usual is no longer acceptable.
Amen.
No matter what your political party, business as usual is not acceptable. And if you have a representative that thinks otherwise, you need to get off of your tiny tot butt and work to replace them.
That's right.
If not, be the person that replaces them. What the young people need to understand is the world of running for office changed forever in this presidential election.
Yes, it did.
It was already happening. We saw a couple of young winners in state government, and we never got them on the air, but we tried, over in North or South Carolina. So a couple of really, really young people, 19, 20, 21 years old, that got into office. Social media. So the world of running for office has now placed itself squarely at the advantage of young people. So if the young people don't like business as usual, your ability to run for office and gather an audience has been handed to you on a silver platter by the Trump campaign.
There you go.
And Steve Bannon, who they are totally bashing, but he was the strategy behind all of this. Mr. Bannon is the executive director, CEO, top dog gun at Breitbart News, the alternate media, and he is alternate media, social media. That's what he's all about. So we will talk a lot about this. There is no excuse for young people not to get involved. It's not about the money anymore. It's not about buying TV time. It's not about, like the Dem asking me for $10 a month. Twitter's free so far. You know?
Yeah.
Social media, and if it goes to anything else, something will replace it. Probably already has. I'm just not aware of it. Right?
Yeah.
Speaking of that, how we time? We're good. Twitter initiates a mass purge of alt-right accounts following the Trump victory. Twitter is knocking down and blocking the accounts of Twitter users that they consider to be alt-right, which is the new term.
Right. Well, how do they know that?
You didn't just ask me that, did you?
Okay, now he's giving me a stupid moment.
I was buying time to figure out how much of a smart-ass answer I could do. They tell the NSA what they're allowed to have. Let's put it that way. When that guy that's holed up over in wherever he
Ecuador?
is, not WikiLeaks, Snowden, he's in Russia,
Yeah.
right? When he said that the NSA was eavesdropping on us and yada, 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 he was right, but they're only getting what Twitter allows them to have.
Seriously?
No, but
Okay.
but that's
I feel better.
That's how much
That's-
in addition to that,
Yeah.
Facebook is now shutting down what they call fake news websites. Fake news, like Doc Owen Show. We're a fly on a gnat's ass, so it'll be a long time before they get around to us. But there are a lot bigger fish for them to fry.
Never mind.
But it's all they're trying to the liberals run these organizations, as we know from the election, and now they're coming back afterwards, and alt-right is what it's being called. Those are the people that are beyond conservative. They're out there. They're further right than the preppers.
Yeah.
Extremists.
Yeah, and they are alternate right wing extreme websites. I quote from them, but it's the websites, the blogs, the Facebook pages, the Twitter accounts. They're going after them. They're shutting them down. They're, pulling whatever they pull, and they're pulling the plug, which is why not too long ago we kind of cut down on our use of Facebook and went to which is rented space that can be shut down by the owner of Facebook, as they're doing. And we went to DocoandShow.com, which we own that territory. So it's more difficult for them to censor it.
Yes.
Was the word that I was looking
Control
for.
it.
Censor it and control it.
Yeah.
But they're doing everything they can. Okay? Twitter has initiated a major purge of accounts associated with alt-right exactly a week after the GOP President-elect Donald Trump's stunning electoral victory, trying to airbrush the alt-right out of existence. They're clearly afraid of the alt-right, and they will fail, just like the MSM did. Okay? The alt-right will figure out a way around it.
Okay.
Think shortwave radio. One of the websites that I do read and quote from occasionally is a site called SHTF. Know what it stands for, right?
Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, I can't say the first word, but hit the fan. Or the last three words.
Isn't that funny? Because I was thinking along those terms. You can tell where my mind goes.
That's the name of the website. SHTF.com. Love it. What this year's presidential election has proven is that alternative media is a force to be reckoned with, and the establishment is scared. They won't let it happen again. I mean, they're putting things in. The establishment media and deep state politicians is what they're being called. These guys that have been there for 40 years, like McConnell, these deep state politicians, are preparing a digital lockdown on any and all information that has not been approved by an as of yet unknown truth panel.
You mean like the death panel?
Well, no, they're putting together a panel of politicians that will determine what the truth is, and that's what can be told.
King George, can you ever come back?
Was that somebody Trump was compared to?
No.
Okay. That's how they're reacting to this election.
Yeah, of course.
It's not that they didn't hear it or they didn't get it. It's that they don't like it.
They don't like it, and
they're not going to stand for it.
There you go.
That's the blowback you're seeing. I mean, these riots, and do you know that of all the young people that have been arrested in these riots, 70% of them did not vote?
I've heard that statistic around. Yes.
7 in 10 didn't even vote, and they're out there wagging their mouths and and do you know how much they're getting paid?
Plenty.
$30 an hour. $30 an hour.
The leaders are, yes.
Oh, what are the rank and file getting?
They're not getting anything. They're just getting their face on TV.
Oh, okay. Why?
Soros. Do I need to say more?
Yeah.
George Soros.
Okay.
He's funding all of these protests.
Really?
And he's paying the organizers to get these people out there. And like you said, what are they protesting? There's no message. There is absolutely no message.
Not my president.
No, they're not even doing that. They're not
But
even
that's
saying
what their
that.
hashtag is.
Oh, is that what their hashtag? Okay,
I used
didn't know
it I used it for the show tonight to see if I could get some of them to listen.
Oh, okay,
So
that's
there's
right.
people that are
That's
following
right.
the Not My President hashtag are gonna see a blurb that the Doc Owen show is live.
Very clever.
And the first thing they're going to hear is me quoting the Democratic Party. they're going to love it until they listen for a while. And the reason I'm saying that is because at this point in the show, they're gone.
They've already.
They left a long time ago. Wow. They left as soon as we put the guy on with the condolence laugh. But at least we had him for a little while.
Yeah.
Maybe long. I think I gave my diatribe on young people in social media and getting involved. No, it was after, wasn't it? Oh, that's too bad. I'll have to do it again. Mm-hmm. Then this talks about the shutdown. Though this effort may be subtle, there is every reason to think it will be brutal for free speech. It could prove to be the last laugh for Hillary Clinton, who blames her media opponents, WikiLeaks hackers, and even the failure of her own friends and prostitutes in the media for destroying her campaign with piles of Clinton family dirt. Major outlets are now circulating a list of websites that have been deemed to be fake news and worthy of censorship that was compiled by, drumroll, a random community college assistant professor trolling websites they'd like to have removed because they disagree with it.
Imagine that.
Unbelievable. And if that's not enough for you, this is something that came out earlier. 14 days and counting. There will be a civil war no matter who wins the election. Where is that from? It is 1860. And Stephen Douglas is running against Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, yeah. We just talked a little
Lincoln's election will lead to a civil war. The pitfalls of catastrophic events were ever present. Just so everyone will know, when you're seeing stuff going on and hearing all of this, we like to think we live in a totally protected bubble, when in fact we live on a very precarious balance. Right?
That's right.
So it behooves all of us to, one of my favorite phrases, pay attention. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Think, observe, acknowledge, but more than anything, have some fun, smile, be polite. Don't walk around with a chip on your shoulder. Do what I did right after the election. For several days right after the election, I told everybody I ran into to be sure and vote. They looked at me like, okay, he's lost it. And somebody would say, sir, that was yesterday. And I wouldn't let them up. I'd react like, how'd you do that? Like they broke the law to go vote on election day. Last words, Uncle Bocce?
Just
No,
just UNCLEBACI at DocOwenShow.com.
there you go.
Talk to me, folks.
Next week is Thanksgiving. We will have our Saint City show on Tuesday, which is the eve of Thanksgiving Eve. Thanksgiving will be a traditional that we replay every year, and it is the history of Thanksgiving. Actually, we did a lot of research and put out a pretty good show 4 years ago because for some reason, I can't figure it out. Our Thursday night show always winds up on Thanksgiving. So, it's just the luck of the draw, I guess.
I tell you.
So, just a bad call. Anyway, we will not be on next week. We will be on, but we won't be live. Let's put it that way. You won't listen to current events. You'll listen. Front row. Time to go. You have been listening to the Doc Owen Show. Thank you so much for having us. We really appreciate it. Now go out there this week and take care, pay attention, and God bless.
Bye-bye, folks. God bless.